In spite of the theatrical nature of the world's favorite sporting entertainment and WWE's occasional forays into the multiplex, wrestling has remained a largely small screen and pay-per-view phenomenon. However, on occasion, worlds do collide, and a prominent performer from the world of wrestling will try their hand at another type of acting to varying degrees of success. Whether they're one-screen wonders who surprised us with their acting ability, or a few hidden performances who we didn't even realize the identity of, they're all pretty weird and they're all worth mentioning. I'm Gareth from What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 of the weirdest wrestler cameos in movies. Number 10. Brodus Clay, No One Lives. Brodus Clay appeared in WWE NXT's 4th season, mentored by and eventually bodyguard to Alberto Del Rio. If this hasn't yet rang any bells of recognition, perhaps his later main roster WWE moniker Funkasaurus will. And I'm sorry about those images. Unfortunately, Clay's slick moves don't make an appearance in the 2012 flop No One Lives, a Luke Evans starring horror thriller which bombed at the box office upon release. However, the wrestler does get a prize role in the flick, short as it is. What's odd about this appearance, however, is the fact that the massive, imposing wrestler doesn't actually put up a fight. Instead, he's the first character offed by Evans' ruthless serial killer, and later on provides said killer a corpse in which to hide, allowing him to infiltrate the hideout of Clay's gang and pick them off one by one. Number 9. Nathan Jones, The Protector. The Protector gave a slick, polished showcase for Tony Jaa's extraordinary stunt work and fighting prowess, despite being stuck with a plot as paper-thin as its predecessor. A stolen elephant, really? After brutalizing, beating, and bone-snapping his way through countless nameless henchmen, Jaa's bruiser faces off against a roaring, unspeaking wall of muscle, who proves a rare adversary even he isn't able to handle. Who is said towering terror? Why, it's only former WWE World Heavyweight Champion Nathan Jones. The hulking Aussie had a brief tenure in WWE, first as The Undertaker's underutilized mentee, then eventually as a minor member of Brock Lesnar's Survivor Series team. His role in The Protector is part of a series of bizarrely similar cameos Jones did in the mid-noughties. Remember the random strongman spectacularly offed by Brad Pitt's unflappable Achilles in 2004's Troy? That's your guy. Number 8. Kevin Nash, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the OOZE. Yeah, okay, so we could have gone for Kevin Nash's pair of appearances in the Steven Soderbergh created Magic Mike series for this entry, since no one expected the former Hulk Hogan collaborator to work with the man who brought us sex, lies, and videotapes. To say nothing of Hulk Hogan's later ventures. No, the classic Kevin Nash role, which screams weirdest wrestler cameos, is his faceless, wordless appearance as Super Shredder in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the OOZE. I just love saying that. Late in the family flick, Francois Chau's villainous Shredder discovers the titular secret of the OOZE, namely that it transforms those who consume it. He drinks the OOZE and grows into Super Shredder. But before Nash can actually do much of anything in the role, he's crushed by a pier that he tore down while standing inside of it. Yeah, fun while it lasted though. Number 7, The Big Show, MACGRUBER. Will Forte's would-be star-making turn in 2010's action flick spoof MACGRUBER is wildly underrated. The movie is the best send-up of tough guy heroics since Hot Shots Part 2, and Forte, along with director Jorma Taccone of the Lonely Island fame, manages to successfully take aim at pretty much every macho movie cliche imaginable. Among these is the scene where Forte's titular agent assembles a crack squad, an A-team of expendables if you will, only to end up blowing them to pieces by accident before we even get to see them in action. And who is this dream team composed of? None other than WWE's finest, or just the people that they could get at the time, who were Kane, Chris Jericho, and The Big Show. Classic. Number 6, The Big Show, Jingle All the Way. It will come as no surprise to fans of The Big Show to see him appear again on this list. Well before The Rock transitioned into mainstream movie stardom, the veteran wrestler appeared in a string of flicks throughout the 90s, ranging from a short appearance in classic Adam Sandler vehicle The Waterboy, essentially playing himself, to this brief cameo in Arnold Schwarzenegger family flick Jingle All the Way. Yes, the 90s were a weird time for us all, and the frequent presence of Schwarzenegger as a kids' film protagonist just shows how strange trips to the multiplex could be at that time. Jingle All the Way is a bit of an odd flick as it is. I mean, why would a kid's film be premised around the idea that Santa isn't real? But the Big Show's appearance makes for one of its standout strange moments. The massive wrestler plays one of many mall Santas that Schwarzenegger's beleaguered suburban dad faces off against, and leaves us wondering which mall needed a near 7-foot-tall muscle-bound Santa, given that the performer is far too tall and visibly jacked to pass for jolly old Saint Nick. Maybe the kids queuing for Santa were big wrestling fans. Kinda makes sense. Number 5, Macho Man Randy Savage, Spider-Man. This brief appearance deserves serious kudos, as it came near the end of Randy Savage's career, and revived him as a nostalgic icon for another generation, thanks to the inimitable Macho Man's admirable commitment. Despite his advanced age at the time of filming, the wrestler did all his own stunts for the superhero flick. Even today, it's still a pretty surreal sight to see one of wrestling's most recognizable icons in the ring with Tobey Maguire's Spidey. The production could probably have benefited from choosing a less instantly recognizable star for the role, as a film about a radioactive superhero with the powers of a spider didn't really have suspension of disbelief to spare. But Raimi stuck with his guns, and the cameo is generally well loved. And it wasn't that weird to see Randy Savage introduced into the Spider-Verse. At least it wasn't until he decided to write a diss track aimed at Hulk Hogan where he boasted about stealing the role from him. It may not be true that Bonesaw was a feature role in Raimi's flick, but credit where it's due, Hogan's movies did go straight to video, as the lyrics to Be a Man noted. Number 4, The Rock, Gem and the Holograms. Remember 2015's live-action reboot of the 80s Saturday morning cartoon phenomenon, Gem and the Holograms? The slow-paced indie flick reimagining of a hyperkinetic franchise which essentially existed only to shift merchandise? That's right, you don't remember. Because the film flopped disastrously upon its July 2015 release, losing millions at the box office and acting as super producer Jason Blum's first major mess-up. You're probably wondering why it's on the list of films featuring weird wrestler cameos. Well, odds are that former WWF superstar and current movie megastar Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is also wondering why he appears in Gem and the Holograms, showing up as himself for no more than a few seconds alongside Chris Pratt and Alicia Keys to profess his love for the fictional band. Now, you may also be wondering why anyone who was able to secure the services of The Rock himself would waste them on such a dumb cameo, particularly one which makes no use of either his wrestling or acting skills. But it's probably worth remembering that if director John M. Chu knew how to handle talent, he probably wouldn't have made Gem and the Holograms. Number 3, Jeff Jarrett, Spring Breakers. Wait, hold on a minute, Jeff Jarrett is in Spring Breakers? Anyone at home listening who hasn't seen the film has every reason to be excited at the prospect. Harmony Korine's rare excursion into the semi-mainstream is a brilliant satirical thriller which follows a handful of former Disney Channel stars and the director's wife through a darkly comic, violent crime spree during the titular college vacation. The film has a lot to say about consumerism and college culture, but it's mostly remembered for James Franco's hysterical impression of indie rapper Riff Raff, Gucci Mane's impressive performance as the stoic villain, and the Central Quartet's haunting rendition of Britney Spears' Every Time. So Jeff Jarrett, famous for his time as a WWF heel, must have played a role in all of this chaos. Maybe as a tough enforcer who indulges in his classic move of smashing a guitar over someone's head. Sure. Or he could play a soft-spoken youth pastor for some bizarre reason, and struggle to act against type about as much as you would expect in the role. Wasted potential, my man. Number 2, Hulk Hogan, Gremlins 2. When it came time for the howling Helmer Joe Dante to follow up his Amblin Entertainment mega success Gremlins, the subversive Roger Corman acolyte was stuck in an unenviable bind. After making a career of twisting expectations and surprising audiences, could he really follow up a movie which had already been ripped off by every ghoulie, critter, munchie, and hobgoblin in Hollywood? The answer, of course, was a yes, provided he inject a streak of anarchic humor into the proceedings, with a zany screenplay which took satirical shots at everything from corporate America to the concept of sequels. As the film reaches its third act, it would have been easy to run out of steam. So of course, Dante switched course and had the eponymous mischief makers break the film itself, prompting the intervention of OG wrestling legend Hulk Hogan, who soon forces the Gremsters, as he calls them, to write the flick and give the audience an ending. In a recent interview with podcast Chapo Trap House, Dante called it one of his favorite moments from the film, and it's a bit elevated by both Hogan's game performance and the sheer surreal shock of seeing the athlete threatening to suplex the little green creeps. Number 1. Chris Jericho Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Wrestling icon Chris Jericho has built quite the on-screen career for himself, featuring in everything from Dancing with the Stars 2011 season to Robot Combat League, which he hosted for Sci-Fi. Still though, the strangest credit on the Ayatollah of rock and roller's long CV has got to be his unexpected cameo in Kevin Smith's recently critically reviled self-referential sequel, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, in which he plays, well, the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. We're not really sure what Smith was thinking either, but surely even as a heel, Y2J is too likable to play the public face of history's worst bigots. Maybe not, since the talkative director has since announced Jericho will also feature in his upcoming horror anthology, Kilroy Was Here, based on the titular worldwide graffiti phenomenon. Here's hoping he gets to play a part that's a little easier to root for. In as much as any Kevin Smith characters are easy to root for, that is. And that's our list. Know of any other weird wrestler cameos in movies that we missed? Let us know all about them in the comment section below. And do not forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button. I've been Gareth from What Culture Wrestling. Have the most awesome of days, and I'm sure I'll see you soon.